Hello, here we are once again with Mookie Tenembaum. We are exploring through these videos his disillusionist philosophy and his misalgic theory about human behavior as a way of running away from suffering. And as many of you already know, week after week, we are now trying to apply some of these philosophical concepts to everyday life, to current events. And we are going today, we are in November 2021 already. We are going today to pay attention to a bit of news that come from Scotland, where this huge summit on global warming and climate change is taking place. And we are going to take a look at that, of course, from a disillusionist point of view, and try to understand what's the disillusionist take on these planetary issues.
Well, first of all, let me just make things very clear. We are not going to talk about the veracity or not veracity of climate change, about how much humans contributed, are contributing, or will contribute to the climate, because this is not the issue that disillusionism works. That's a scientific discussion that at this point looks like not a discussion anymore. It's only a one-way street. The news that we got on Thursday, and I have to say that I saw the news and never ever again I saw anybody commenting on them. Now we are taping this video late because of a technical problem, and during those 2 days, Florencio, the issue is not even in the news. It was, of course, Washington Post reported that, and here goes. The financial powerhouses of the world, together with insurance companies, I mean, the top of the top, have pledged to fight climate change the amount of $130 trillion. I said $1 trillion, not billion, not million, trillion, which is very close to zillion. Yes, the numbers. I mean, the numbers are irrelevant at this point. Talking about such a huge number. To understand what we're talking about, the GDP of the United States is $22 trillion. So the whole, whatever all America produces during a year is worth $22 trillion. This is 5 times that amount, a little bit more even. Okay, no, it's even 6 times that amount. So what we're talking about is a huge number, and the question is, who is paying? I mean, this $130 trillion. The philosophical question is this: the planet. Okay, we agree. The planet is on fire, and the planet, the human beings have been dealt a terrible hand to the planet. But two philosophical questions arise. The first one is, what is a planet? I mean, what do you mean by the planet? Yes, the whole idea. And the second most important is, why am I in charge? Why am I in charge of the planet? If I'm in a hotel, which in fact this is the case where I am now, if I are in a hotel, nobody's asking me to go to clean my bathroom and the bathroom of the people of somebody else, and to chip in, to help here and there to everybody to clean the hotel. This is a hotel. I just arrived and I'm leaving. And I have no responsibility towards the earth, towards the planet. I have no responsibility towards my country. I don't have responsibility towards my city, because all these are illusions. Illusions. This is the mother of all illusions. The planet as, and of course, everything with the word us, we. The plural of I. There is nothing more opposed to I than we. On the other side, I mean, if you took the antipodes, it's not geography, but in conceptually, in the antipodes of I, it's we. It's not they, it's not you, it's we. Because we doesn't have any meaning. You can use we in 2 different situations, for instance, and I'm not running away from the issue of the planet. I'm just wanted to make it clear why the we is irrelevant. If me and you now decided to do anything, end the video, whatever, it's you and me. There is a we, of course. But once you start adding people to that we, the we starts getting diluted more and more and more and more until I get diluted. And I would say the examination, and I will elaborate, the examination is a sine qua non examination. If tomorrow I don't contribute to the planet, will the planet survive or not, depending on my behavior? The answer is absolutely not. We all know. It's like voting. We talk about voting. When you vote, is your vote count? Of course it counts. Is it really count? No, zero, nothing. Why? Because your vote. If you go to vote or don't go to vote, nothing will change. No, it will not change the result, of course. Yes, things may change, but not because of your participation. So now they should tell me, well, listen, the planet is for everybody, it's for our children. There is another concept, of course, to save our children. In disillusionism, death is the end of any plan, whichever it is. Your own death, my death, is the end of all plans. There is nothing after me. The idea that I can participate, but again, we talked about illusions, we talk about the family, children, and are the way of immortality, so we have children. And then since we are responsible for our children, we have to save the planet. Yes, but what about the children who are not yet born? What about my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren? How far is my responsibility going to? And last but not least, talking about this 130 trillion, Jeffrey Sachs, one of the most important economists in the world, have made the calculation, how much will it take to end world poverty? 120 billion for 20 years. Much less than the 130 trillion. I'm talking, it's a tiny fraction of 130 trillion. So instead of today avoiding the death of millions of people from starvation or from sickness because they are not well nourished, or because they don't have access to medicine, or whatever poor means, instead of that, we will save people who were not born in places we never seen, in the name of a planet, in the name of we. What do you think, Florencio?
You mentioned, I would say, almost every illusion we've come to analyze through this ongoing series of videos. And of course, there is this claim to eternity or some form of immortality always involved. My family, my parish, my city-state, my country will be there long before I'm dead. And you mentioned how diluted I become in these sets, but it seems that there is a progression here going on, right? That we start with smaller sets, that we start with illusions in which the numbers of individuals involved are relatively small, like in a family or a tribe or a clan. And then we keep on growing from parishes and cities until we get to worldwide religions and national states. And in this sense, we are almost there at the ceiling, right? We are almost speaking about a set that includes us all as Terrans. I mean, I don't think it's only mankind. It's the entirety of mankind, as you said, including those who are yet unborn, but it's also every living being in the planet that somehow is part of this set that we now belong to.
You know, man is not that kind, but mankind. Yeah, the interesting, I was thinking about it, that since mankind, and then the planet, not only mankind, the whole planet has to be saved. But who are we talking about? I mean, who are we going to come and say the word we? Are they going to come aliens and we're going to tell them we? Maybe to a god? I mean, what are we talking about? It doesn't make sense that I will use the plural in first person when clearly there is no other side to tell it to. I mean, we all, when you are in a we, there is two possibilities. You are in a we like now, yes, I can say we. You know that I said we, and I can include in the we people who may not agree. We the Jews, we the fat, we the and then add certain things. It is fantasy. It is pure fantasy to think about and talk about the we when we talk about the whole planet. it made sense because it was we the Argentinians versus we the Uruguayans, and we the Congolese against against with the Burundis. It doesn't matter. There is no other side for the we. So who are we talking to? To ourselves? I mean, do you normally need to tell something to yourself? You know yourself.
Sorry, you mentioned God there, which of course is one of the illusions disillusionism speaks about. But I've heard, I don't know if this is the majority of the people involved in this planetary quest nowadays, but I've heard the claim that the planet is somehow a person, that the planet is somehow an entity, a sort of supernatural being, and even mythical names like Gaia are being used. So maybe at least some of the people involved in these discussions are thinking in a God-like entity that we are responsible, before which we are responsible.
Well, listen, when you say fatherland, you're doing the same thing.
All right. No.
So it is not new that we do that. What I think is the issue of Gaia, as you say, the godness. Of course, the illusions are very similar to each other. Okay, that's what they have in common. Is very important. If tomorrow we all have an attack of amnesia, there will be no God, no country, no family, no children, no grandchildren, nothing, and certainly no my planet. Okay, my planet. But what they wanted to say is not our planet. Yeah, they wanted to say my planet. So then, because look, they tried to woo people to help saving the climate change. So what did they do first? First, they told us that it's going to happen in 50 years and our children, and please, let's do that. And they were trying with in a nice way. It didn't work. So then they are now aiming at what we call computer number 3. Yes, our moral engine in our brain. They are using guilt. Okay? To use guilt, they have first to convince you are responsible. And they did a terrible job. They say, well, you are in the planet, you are responsible. So if I am going over a bridge with my car and the bridge falls, I'm responsible because I'm using it now. You see, the center word is diluting. You are being diluted to a degree that you are not relevant. I'll tell you a story about the Jewish religion that has, Jews cannot mix milk and meat. They cannot have in the same dish. There are even other worse, but these are the rules. Now they come to a rabbi and they say, I was boiling a huge amount of milk and a little bit piece of meat fell in. Does it make the whole thing that we have to throw it to the garbage? And the rabbi, and this is a very important issue, they said no. If it's less than a 60th part, that means 1 over 60, there is no meat. It's diluted. The same thing happens with your vote, happens with your help, with the money, because this is important. They pledge 130 trillion. Guess who is going to pay? Okay, so we're going to pay now. Let me tell you, the invoice is coming now. It's not coming to our grandchildren. We're going to pay it now. And that means that to understand the whole world GDP, here we have our planet, yes, produces $80 trillion. That's it. Every year, of course. 80 trillion. Less, much less, significantly less. 60% of what this 130 trillion. What are we not going to eat, all of us? That's it for the next 20 years. I mean, how they plan to do it? So one of the things we always talked about in the disillusionism is the epics. Everything has adjectives and epics, because if it's mundane, you don't care. Why? Because everything has epics. We are living in inflationary. We are living in a hyperinflationary economy of adjectives, of epics. Everything is huge. Everything is great. Everything is awesome. The other day I went to eat a lunch. I think I told it, but I don't remember. But it's an interesting story. I got into lunch, and then the guy comes to me and says, "How is the food? Good. Is it delicious?" I said, "Delicious. Delicious is a huge word, but they use delicious, awesome, word changing. Everything now is huge. That inflation does not allow us to see the bare facts, which are much, of course, as they are, gray, and allow us to sleepwalk through them."
Yeah. Speaking, I guess, about sleepwalking, we are almost out of time in terms of what we allot to weekly news, but I want to ask you a question before we go. You mentioned the practical aspects, meaning how difficult it would be to get the money, how difficult it will be to actually spend the money. But there's another type of practical issue here at hand that we have discussed in other areas, and that I would like to ask you about, which is how would we know? How would we realize if this is working, if the money is being properly spent, and let's say climate change or global warming is truly being alleviated by this expenditure of money?
First of all, let's imagine that it doesn't work. When we get our money back, the answer is going to spend it. Make sure that they spend it. Yes, we need something, some kind of objective or quasi-objective way to measure success. I mean, if it was a company and somebody came and asked for investments, so to investors, yes, they'll have to tell them what is the business plan, and we think we'll get here, and that will be a success. Yes, will be a success. So everybody, the paper is beautiful, and they say this will be a success. Which is, how do we measure success? If part of the people who talk about global climate change says that climate change is not happening now, this is just weather, but climate change is going to be a terrible thing, and it's going to be islands disappearing, and so forth. We are, how can I say, we're doomed in this issue to try to find some kind of measure. What would be low CO2, low methane? Which of them? Nobody's talked about it. The problem with it, it's not about can you make one. Probably you can, but nobody's giving it. Nobody's offering it. So we're going to give you $130 trillion and hope for the best. That's what they're telling you.
Again, it seems like a moral issue. It seems like an illusionary issue more than an actual practical, technical one, right?
Of course.
We are way out of time. We will come back, I'm sure, to this topic because it will be a part of the news soon enough. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Thank you. See you next week.
If you enjoyed the video, please like it, comment and subscribe.